All right, welcome back, Social 10. I need to give you instructions for the next 2 days. So this is for 2 days' work because there's lots of steps involved in the historical globalization of India. So at the end of this case study, we'd like you to be able to really explore the concept of British imperialism and by nature historic globalization and understand that quote. So historical globalization was a difficult process for many indigenous people around the world. The natives of India call British imperialism the knife of sugar. It is all sweet and smooth, but it is the knife notwithstanding. So we want you to understand that quote at the end of this case study. So within this case study, we are going to get you to go back and do a first step, which is take a peek at what is imperialism in general. That's a quick Williams video that should take about 6 minutes. And then here's the Indian imperialism assignment, and there's a lot of steps. Step 1, describe what is mercantilism. And you can do this in point form, you can do this on a Google Doc, you can record all your answers on a Google Doc so that you can submit it to me through Classroom when you're done. So describe what is mercantilism. There's a cartoon here that is meant to inspire you to show you what is mercantilism. This cartoon you'll find on your final exam, just a little hint there. There's a video that defines mercantilism. There's another video that talks about specifically the British East India Company's version of mercantilism. And throughout this lesson, you're going to see lots of enrichment. Again, enrichment is always optional because there's lots of more things we can do with India, but we have only so much time. After you've defined mercantilism in point form, the second step of this assignment is for you to explore how might the incident that is remembered as the Black Hole of Calcutta help the British gain more control over India. So we have a photograph here to just kind of illustrate, what was the Black Hole of Calcutta, and then if you don't know a lot about the Black Hole of Calcutta, we have a quick video that describes what happened, and then we have someone's reflection on it here as well. So if you combine the video with the reflection and looking at the photograph, you should be able to answer this question: how might the Black Hole of Calcutta help the British gain more control over India? I think it's 2 to 3 sentences long. It's not a long answer. There's a little bit more here. It's an optional enrichment assignment exploring to what extent maybe the black hole was a myth. Maybe it was a creation of the British. And why would they do that? I'll leave that for you to understand. Step 3. What perspective does the following source suggest with regards to the British being able to imperialize India? So here's a great cartoon, and I want you to look at it and say, okay, what existed in India that allowed the British an opportunity to take control over India? And I think that's like a one-sentence answer, isn't it? I think it's going to come out and just kind of announce itself quite clearly. So I want you to be able to look at a cartoon and discern details within it, those nuances in it. And here this cartoon is expressing something that existed in India that allowed British imperialism to become a dominant policy there. So that's step 3. Step 4, why were the British even interested in India? So as we end up really evaluating British imperialism in India, we should explore the question, why would they want to be there? So this one might take you a couple more sentences than the last, so maybe do 3 to 5 sentences. So a little less than half a page, and I want you to explore why would the British want to come to India? And we've got this source here for you to help yourself out with that. Step 5, I want you to understand the British were not welcome in India by everyone. And I want you to understand this contest for home rule that Gandhi was a big part of. So in order to do that, I have a number of quotes from the movie Gandhi that we would watch if we were in class, but we're not. So I've taken some of the key moments and I have some quotes. And I want you to not dissect the quotes individually because you might not understand the context. But I want you to combine them and see if in combination you can identify what is the issue that the Indian people have with British imperialism, and therefore what is the issue they have with globalization, and what is their solution for this issue. Within the solution, are there some values and assumptions that they're making, and who are they speaking to? Now, some of these Gandhi is maybe reflecting to himself, but in some of these they are speaking, like this first one: we must defy the British, not with violence that will inflame their will, but with firmness that will open their eyes. Within that quote, you should be able to say, here's the audience. This is who Gandhi's speaking to. And this is what he wants them to do. This is the intended response. This is the reaction he wants them to do. So look through these quotes and see if you can come up with some answers to that with regards to the home rule thing. If there's a couple of quotes you don't understand, you can always ask questions during our Hangouts. Step 6, moving on to step 6 here, we've got some more sources that we want you to identify the perspectives that each of the following sources have with regards to Indian independence. So, for example, this first source might be suggesting that the Indian people are not ready for independence. Explore how do we know that? What nuances within the source suggest that India is not ready for independence? This source may be used to promote the need for Indian independence. And in order to understand further about that, you'll need to learn about the Bengali famine and the connection to the British Empire that's on that link there. This source might also be suggesting that the Indian people are not ready for independence. So what nuances within the source could be used to further the perspective that India is not ready for independence, and that'll help you understand the controversy behind decolonization. Now we get to step 7 and actual decolonization, the post-imperialism India, and we have some further steps here. I want you to break down this cartoon and identify what problem is illustrated below and establish how the decolonization of India made it possible. So what is the issue that is being shown in that illustration? And why is that issue only possible because the British have left India? Step 8, what is the warning to India seen in the cartoon below? Maybe what is the warning regarding India might be better. Step 9, identify the issue today between India and Pakistan. And again, step 8, step 9, these can be done in just a couple of sentences. There's not a lot of depth that is needed here, because step 10, my friends, is a little longer of an assignment. It says, respond to the following question with a 250-word response. In conclusion, did British imperialism benefit India? And there's lots of, maybe there's too many resources here for you to wrestle with. And that's why this is a 2-day thing. We have a video resource, we have an online debate, and then I've actually polled some of that online debate. Fareed Zakaria is one of the experts on India and on British imperialism there, so he's got some ideas here for you to wrestle with in terms of, was British imperialism good for India? Here's some further ideas. I start putting little bullets to distinguish voices within them. And yeah, you can see that there's a ton that you could work with. So here's little breakdown ideas from some learned people that have weighed in on this issue. Now, you don't have to reference them all, but I would say read through them, skim through them, create like a T-chart, say this is what is saying it was good, this is why it's saying it's not, and then summarize that in a paragraph for me. Under the topic sentence, the British imperialism was a knife of sugar, right? It was a knife notwithstanding, but there was some kind of benefit that some people felt, and that was the sugar part. The final thing I'd like you to do with India is I do have an A1 that we've used in the past, and there's a link to it here. There's that knife of sugar quote, and then there's a great cartoon that you may see on a final exam or on the unit exam here, and then there's a quote from Gandhi. And then what I've done here is said, you know what? The last step of teaching you guys how to do an A1, here's an exemplar. Here's an exemplar of a student's work that goes through each source, interprets each source, and then relates them at the end. So before I can give you an A1 assignment in its completion, I wanted to give you one final exemplar, and that's what that provides us, is one final exemplar. So what we have here is 2 days work, and by the end you will be an expert on imperialism in India, and this will help us evaluate globalization in the historic sense.